Yo, welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our WWE Raw reactions. We have an intense episode to recap for you guys. Bryan is back, and he's going to fight at this year's Royal Rumble. This is amazing, Retro Brett. Of course, I'm RJ. RB, what the hell, man? We got Bryan back. This is awesome.
Oh yes, that is one of the many things that occurred in tonight's Raw. It's quite extraordinary, actually.
It really is. In fact, I thought he was retiring. Instead, it was a 180. He's coming back because originally last week I predicted on, of course, This Week in Wrestling that I thought he was going to be back. I kind of teased at it, but then there was some things that came out on Twitter that made me think it was going to be the exact opposite. But at last, he announced he'll be back. We'll get into that, but let's go ahead and start off with the start of Raw. We had Edge.
Start where it starts.
Of course, and it's worthy, despite the huge announcements, we do have to talk about Edge and Christian showing up. We seen Christian last year. It wasn't too long ago.
Yeah,
in fact, I think he might have even been in the last Royal Rumble.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah, so we've seen him, but it's been a while since we've seen Edge, that's for sure. It's definitely nice to see him. But Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman interrupted them.
As usual.
Yeah, what did you think about the start of tonight's Raw?
Well, some starts to Raw are really groundbreaking. I didn't think this one was super exciting.
Nah.
Although, it's good to see Edge, Adam Copeland back again. Although I never really was a huge fan of his, but it's always good to see him.
He goes way back. He's one of those wrestlers that you kind of have to respect, but I'm with you. I was never a huge fan, although I know plenty of people who were.
Kind of like Orton.
Yeah. The thing that I was more interested in, for as much as it was nice to see those two guys, it was better off to see Brock Lesnar. He looks great. He looks like a badass mofo.
Which he is.
I really don't think that Cena would be able to beat him if it was a legit fight, but I still have reservations, and I think that Lesnar is moving to the UFC, and because of that, Cena will win. But as far as this encounter, Paul Heyman once again killed it, no surprise there, and Brock Lesnar came off as a beast. Of course, they didn't want to basically kill Edge. We all know what Edge is going through. He can't fight anymore. So having him and Lesnar in the same ring, that's code blue. That's a health hazard for Edge.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm also excited about Cena's mind games with Lesnar. He suckered him in to fighting him a little bit today. Not very much.
Yeah.
But he went after Heyman.
Yeah, he gave the sucker punch to Heyman, which we're happy to see, of course. And then,
except Heyman.
Yeah, Lesnar charged Cena. Cena actually was able to get Lesnar in the AA position, but Lesnar was kind of wiggling there and was able to bounce out and immediately aborted, got out of the ring, which we know is not like Lesnar. Come on. Really, the real Brock Lesnar would have probably gave him 3 German suplexes, followed by an F5, maybe 2. Instead, he just kind of faded away because they have the huge Royal Rumble match coming.
I think that's mostly Heyman. If it was up to Lesnar, Lesnar would kick the shit out of Cena. But Heyman's the one pulling the reins back.
Yeah, that's a good point, Retro Brett. Paul Heyman is the one guy who seems to be able to get Heyman under control. Maybe that's why they... Yeah, that's right, Lesnar. Maybe that's why they gave Lesnar Heyman. Because they knew that Lesnar was going to be an uncontrollable force. We have to give him a manager, because you don't see too many wrestlers with managers these days.
Well, that, and Heyman is highly annoying. He's good at it. He's great at his job.
He's the best.
I think there's another reason. Brock Lesnar's voice does not match his body. His voice kind of sounds weird to me. Kind of sounds like a higher pitched voice. Maybe they gave him Heyman to have a mouthpiece so he doesn't have to talk very much.
Yeah, no doubt. And you're right. There are a lot of wrestlers that they're just not that great on the mic. Let's face it. They're
and that's
great.
Okay.
That is okay. I feel like let's use this guy right here, Dolph Ziggler, as an example. He has not been that great on the mic in the past, but his ability to wrestle so damn good has kept him around. And now you can see him putting in a good effort on the mic, and he's coming around.
Yeah,
he's becoming
coming around.
Yeah, he's becoming a better
coming around
character.
the mountain.
Yeah. Here's a guy who's great on the mic, BNB. Looks like we got him back tonight. Is he also returning, Retro Brett?
Yes, indeed, he is. He looked primed and ready to go. No rust at all. And there he faced off with another, well, kind of returning superstar. I mean, I guess he never really left. But Cesaro.
I haven't seen him in a while.
And he gave Cesaro a big old bullhammer and
Nice.
beat him. Yeah, that was exciting to see. We're glad to see BNB back. It's just fun as hell to say, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. That's just cool.
He's definitely one of our favorites. I mean, if it wasn't for that injury, he would be a huge contender right about now because he's so great on the mic, and he really is a leader. We've seen him lead the Nexus, and it's going to be interesting to see where he's going to go. He already pronounced it, 2015, the year of Bad News Barrett.
We shall see. But the last time we saw him, he made a proclamation that whoever is holding the U.S. or Intercontinental title, I get those two mixed up. I think it's the Intercontinental title that is only holding it until he gets back.
Yeah.
Now, what happens? I think Ziggler's the Intercontinental holder.
Obviously,
Ziggler versus BNB, they're both good guys.
Well, BNB we've seen be a heel in the past, for sure. That's for damn sure. And I think that's more likely because the U.S. title is on Rusev, and I don't see a Bad News Barrett versus Rusev rivalry coming anytime soon.
Well, you have a good point.
Yeah. Perhaps maybe if Ryback somehow beats Rusev, maybe a BNB versus Ryback feud, that might work. That might be kind of interesting. But I want to see this Rusev-Ryback feud get settled to even think about anything else. All right, Retro Bread, let's go ahead and talk about the return of Daniel Bryan. As I said earlier, coming into tonight, I was expecting Daniel Bryan to return, but then we knew he was going to appear with a huge announcement on Raw, and I don't know, something about it that just got me a little bit worried. I don't know why. I checked Twitter. There was a lot of memes, a lot of people tweeting that Daniel Bryan was going to retire. Perhaps Daniel Bryan would fight CM Punk in the UFC. I knew that was nonsense because if Daniel Bryan was actually going to retire, it would be due to injury. So he certainly wouldn't be going to the UFC, that's for sure. But we saw the complete opposite. He announced in a crazy way, I thought it was completely epic, that he will return. He basically said, am I going to retire? And I think at that point we all kind of knew it was coming. We knew he wasn't going to say yes. He was going to say no. He's back.
Well, he said, am I going to be in the Royal Rumble? Yes. Yes.
What?
Yes.
What? That's so epic.
That'll be a sick Royal Rumble. But who's the favorite in that case? Is it Reigns or is it Daniel Bryan?
We've been trying to decide and figure out who is going to be in that WrestleMania match, guys. I mean, we still, of course, have to decide the outcome or figure out the outcome of the WWE Championship here between Cena and Lesnar. But who else is worthy of fighting in that match, guys? I mean, you have Roman Reigns, but he's been gone for a while.
He didn't look too good tonight.
Obviously Seth Rollins has been dynamite, but is he ready for a WrestleMania main event? That remains to be seen. The one guy that I think might work out if he gets enough time to get some momentum is Daniel Bryan, because Daniel Bryan was the title holder. He had to forfeit those titles. He deserves a chance, Retro Brett.
He definitely deserves it, but will the new regime give him that title shot? I mean, he's been screwed by regimes in the past like no one's business.
Yeah, the authority. Well, we talked about the return of Daniel Bryan. Let's go ahead and get into the grand finale of tonight's Raw, which, in my opinion, wasn't so grand.
It wasn't that great. It was very confusing the way they did it. I don't know. We could have written a better script than that.
Well, what was happening was Seth Rollins was kind of talking about people he was going to invite to his interview, as an inaugural interview with Edge and Christian, whatever.
The Cutting Edge Peep Show, I believe.
Yeah, the Peep Show. So he said he was going to actually welcome John Cena, as well as Brock Lesnar at one point as well. So it's kind of like
Lesnar didn't. Well, he came out later, but
yeah. He also invited his friend the Big Show after we saw Big Show commending Rollins quite a bit earlier on in the night. So it was pretty obvious that those guys were in cahoots. And then we saw, Seth Rollins announced John Cena. Cena was not coming out, which I knew was going to happen, but I didn't think what was going to happen next. He basically turned on Edge right there. And
not Cena.
Yeah, Cena hadn't come out yet at this point. Edge, he put down in curb stomp position once again. Edge cannot wrestle. He has been deemed, not able to fight because something really bad could happen. I mean, we don't even want to get into that, but he could become a quadriplegic or something. Anyways, he gets put in curb stomp position, which we all know would be devastating to poor Edge, trying to get John Cena to come out. At that point, did you know what Seth Rollins was up to? Did you know what his motives were, Retro Brett?
No, and surprisingly, first off, when Cena came out, Rollins was like, "You know what I want," and I should have figured it out.
Me
but
too.
I didn't.
I was thinking, did he want a rematch?
I was like, "What do you want?"
Unfortunately, I was thinking the same thing. I couldn't figure it out. Obviously, Michael Cole then said, "He wants to get the authority back," and then that's where it dawned on me. I was like, "No. They can't do that like that."
That's a stupid way that it happened.
They got to make it grandiose. I want to hear a great storyline on how they bring, of course, the authority back. Maybe put the title on the line. Something. Maybe kidnap Nikki Bella. Do something. Instead, it's Edge as a hostage in the curb stomp position, and John Cena eventually gives in to Seth Rollins. Rollins puts it on the line saying, "I want the authority back, or I'm going to kill or take out Edge." And John Cena, where earlier they had a very touching moment where they acknowledged their respect for one another, and also something came out about Edge taking out Cena's pops or something. I don't know. Something weird. Eventually
Edge, when they had that big rivalry back then, Edge showed up at Cena's door and started whooping his father's ass.
Oh, man. That's not cool.
Much like Orton.
Anyways, they somehow got over that small tidbit, and they became friends. So much so that Cena was willing to let the authority back in control. I mean, it all kind of happened quickly. Brock Lesnar came out, and after it was announced that the authority was officially back, we then saw the authority come out. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H came out with champagne and all to make it official that they are back. Retro Brett.
I think that was very, very silly. I mean, bring him out next week. Don't bring him out 5 minutes after the decision was made to bring him back.
It was a big joke.
I don't know. I guess no one else is fit to hold Seth Rollins' bottle except the authority. I don't know. I guess
really crazy stuff.
It's just very anticlimactic. I was
expecting great word for it.
Most of the time, something like this, it's like a setup with a match with someone, and if Cena loses, then he has to bring back the authority.
Yeah.
But I don't know, this was really stupid.
It was. We expected something way better. We all knew the authority was going to be back and John Cena would have to make the decision, but it happened so quickly. All of a sudden, hostage situation with Edge. Really, you're going to make it Edge? Can't you bring back Stone Cold or somebody better?
Nikki. I like
yeah, right? I mean, bring out Nikki, get her involved. Hell, you get more people watching Divas.
Yeah.
And,
at least she's hot.
Instead, nothing. Edge, I guess Cena saves the day. I think we all would have said, hey, we'll kind of sacrifice Edge for the authority, really. But the authority's back.
And furthermore, I mean, if I'm going to take vacation from something like that, it's going to be more than a month. Or a month and a week or so, I think it was. It's got to be like 2 or 3 months. But
weird thing about this whole thing, Retro Brett, is you had Brock Lesnar come out and shake hands with Seth Rollins. Once again, we've seen it in the past. But it kind of shows us that Lesnar is happy that the authority's in power for some reason. That's kind of weird. Why would he care?
Well, he's his own boss. He's his own guy. So
yeah. So why would he even come out? Maybe he came out just because he was invited. Who knows? I guess another reason is maybe he just wants to see something bad happen to John Cena.
Well,
he seems to take pleasure in that.
But speaking of Cena, and you touched on it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I really never noticed this as much as I have been the last couple weeks, but Cena is always positive. I mean, that backstage segment with Edge was kind of nauseating.
It was.
If I was him, I'd be like, dude, that shit wasn't cool back then. I might respect you. You went over the line a couple times. Screw you. But, they're friends again. He never makes an enemy. He's always positive. He's always putting people over. And that way I can see how some people don't, or a lot of people don't like him. But in other news, the return of the Cesaro swing happened tonight.
Yes.
With 5 revolutions. Also, we have new tag team champions as well. The Usos defeated Miz and Mizdow right after Jimmy's wife, Naomi, gave Miz a hug backstage. Maybe she was playing with his mind a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Playing some mind games.
And then we saw the Miz's lose to the Ascension. We talked about the Ascension last week. And they actually showed up tonight. It must have been a really cool moment for them. I can imagine how awesome it has to be to fight so much in the NXT, fight your way up, and then make that grand debut on Raw in a huge episode of Raw. You have an episode where Daniel Bryan's back, BNB's back, and the Authority's back. So a lot happened. The Ascension have to be proud.
It was a big episode.
They whooped the hell out of the Miz's there.
Ryback's speech right after the Rusev-Ziggler match, which Ziggler won by a DQ.
Yeah.
I was actually happy to hear a little bit from him, like his backstory, where he came from.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's kind of cool. Makes him seem like a guy as opposed to just some big ass steroided up muscle-bound freak.
Yeah, we're becoming big fans of Ryback here at Trippy Commentaries, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was happy to hear that speech. It was a nice speech, too.
And, quite honestly, it is good to see Ryback bounce back after the whole CM Punk debacle. I mean, CM Punk really called him out there, after the whole falling out there. And it was interesting because at that point, Ryback was kind of down. He was teamed up with Curtis Axel, and he was in bona fide jobber status.
Yeah.
Now he's rising back into a legit status. I mean, we've seen him in main events in the past. I don't think he's going to get that good again, but to see him with a chance to beat Rusev is pretty exciting.
Go bigger than that.
Really?
Oh, yes.
We have a WrestleMania coming up.
Oh, yes.
Well, I think we expect to see Ryback in the Royal Rumble. We'll see if maybe he is the big guy who's going to win the big match.
I don't know if he's going to be in the Rumble or not. Maybe he might have a match with Rusev.
Really? At the Royal Rumble? Yeah. That would be amazing. We definitely expect it. Thank you guys for joining us for this episode. I know we had a lot to cover.
Anybody else? Dallas?
I'm going to say anybody else you want to throw out there?
Well, I want to throw Bill Dallas under a bus, but...
Yeah, you and me both, maybe we can believe that when he does come back, he'll have a different character, because he's still Bray Wyatt's brother, and I think he's still capable. We'll see.
That gimmick is stupid.
Yeah. But the biggest news here, guys, Daniel Bryan's back. Man, we are so excited. This is amazing news, and he's going to be in this year's Royal Rumble. We're really looking forward to it, to say the least. We'll be previewing the Royal Rumble and looking at the week in wrestling. I know SmackDown's going to be huge. Next Raw is going to be huge, and pretty much everything's going to be huge leading up to Royal Rumble, especially with the Authority back in charge.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll do a decent job this time, and I have a fear that they'll go back to their old tricks, but hopefully they'll be a little more fair this time.
Yeah, that's for sure. Thanks again for joining us, guys. We really appreciate it. Make sure to let us know what you think about the return of Daniel Bryan, as well as BNB and the stable of superstars that are now back. One last thing I want to end off with, Retro Brett. Roman Reigns left in an ambulance tonight.
He didn't look too good tonight.
Oh no, hopefully he'll be okay.
As of tonight, based on tonight, I don't see him winning the Rumble.
Oh, really?
But a lot can happen between now and then.
He's my current prediction for the winner, but him leaving in an ambulance certainly doesn't help. Thanks again for joining us, guys. We will see you next week. Until then, Stay trippy, everybody.